Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Southern Oregon University President Mary Cullinan. Dr. Cullinan, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
All right, so let's get to the tough stuff first. Recently, more than 2/3 of the Faculty Senate voted to have no confidence in your Provost, James Klein, and your Vice President of Finance and Administration, Craig Morris. What does this mean for the university?
Well, the faculty have the right to advise me, and so they chose to do a vote that provides me with advice. I can't make any comment on personnel issues, but I'm always happy to be talking to the faculty about their concerns.
Okay, and there is no formal process here. They're just writing you a letter, dispensing their opinion.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, all right. And so, as I understand, you almost had a 2/3 no confidence vote, as according to the Faculty Senate. How does that make you feel? Since asking a personal question there.
Well, it's certainly upsetting to me, but I also deeply understand this has been a time of a lot of tension, a lot of upheaval on campus as we've gone through some difficult financial times. We had to work through faculty union bargaining. There are changes in the Oregon University system, and so it's a very uncertain time. And I very much understand that people feel very stressed at this time.
Yeah, and how does all that stress or perhaps hurt feelings either way? How will that affect SOU and moving forward from here?
I'm very hopeful that we're just going to be moving forward into spring. This is a good time for us to have spring break. I've been talking to the Faculty Senate and other groups about starting a strategic planning process on the campus. We need to move forward. We have issued our final retrenchment plan. It's a good plan. It does affect people's lives, and there's a lot of stress connected with that, but it does move us forward, and now we need to establish priorities so that we know where we should be investing and how we can best position SOU for another 140 years of success in the Rogue Valley.
Absolutely. Okay, and retrenchments, a lot of cuts to programs, certain aspects of the university's academics. What factors led us to this?
Well, it's almost all about state funding. The state of Oregon has stepped back terribly from a sort of compact that it had with the state universities over many decades, where the state was invested in supporting the education of Oregon students. And it's stepped away over the last 20 years, and certainly very, very distinctly stepped away in the last few years. And so the burden of the costs falls on the students themselves. And so not only is that a huge challenge for our Oregon students, but it creates a challenge for the university, because if our enrollment goes up or down, our revenues go up or down at the same time. And so last fall, we not only had graduated 2 of our largest classes in history, but there was a slight dip in enrollment. And at the same time, the Oregon University system made a change in its accounting policies that affected us rather seriously. And so our revenues were down, our fund balance, our reserves went down below a minimum that we have, a required minimum of 5%. And so now we had to go into a process of retrenchment in order to reduce a few academic programs. Mm-hmm. This is not bankruptcy. This is really getting us back to having a 5% or better reserve. And this plan will bring us up to a 10% reserve in a couple of biennia.
Okay, very good. We're going to take a quick break. Much more with Dr. Cullinan in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Southern Oregon University President Dr. Mary Cullinan. So, Dr. Cullinan, we talked a lot about before the break about the decline in state funding. Has SOU, in your opinion, managed the situation well financially?
I think we have done an excellent job of managing our resources, and now our retrenchment plan is going to put us in a position where we can be more nimble. As I was saying earlier, we have to be responsive with changes in enrollment. We need to be able to go up or down as we have student needs. So we need to expand the number of classes and offerings as enrollment grows. But if there's a drop, then we need to be able to decrease. And so we've been reorganizing and restructuring in a way to be a lot more flexible and nimble.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, has SOU been through a retrenchment before?
We did when I first arrived. I came here in 2006 and was told as soon as I arrived that enrollment had dropped and we were below that 5% threshold. And so we went through a process just as I was learning how to get around the Rogue Valley and meet the people on campus. We were going through this.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, so obviously with this retrenchment, some programs are being cut, so I'm assuming some faculty are being cut. Are there administrative cuts as well?
Oh, yes. We have been reducing the number of administrators for a number of years. The retrenchment is the formal process in the faculty contract for reducing the academics. But we've been restructuring and reorganizing for a number of years, so we're actually very thinly staffed at this point. So yes, we've been restructuring, and this is the process that's for academics.
Okay, and one thing I heard about recently is that you guys are considering selling the bookstore. Is that still being considered, or has the formal decision been made? We
have a process where we have RFPs out to companies to consider outsourcing, and so we are looking at a couple of vendors who have put in bids. We have to reach certain agreement with whoever gets that bid, and if we don't get to that number that we need to get to, we will not outsource the bookstore. So it's still a process on campus.
Okay, all right. Now, and that would obviously, if you guys were to sell, that would bring in some much needed capital. One other thing you guys can obviously do is increase enrollment. So what are you guys doing to get those numbers back up?
Well, we're doing a lot of things. We are really reaching out to California and other states. Part of our concern is that we need to have a strong enrollment mix. It's not just the flat number, but we have to have a good mix of graduate and undergraduate students, in-state and out-of-state students. So we're making a huge push on social media and sort of reaching out in ways that we've never reached out before. We have to be much more sophisticated and high-tech now. And so we're reaching out in really extraordinary ways and getting a very significant number of people from around the country who are already applying to Southern Oregon University for next fall. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with retrenchment that we've heard, I believe, from you guys is that people who have those majors or those concentrations, minors, et cetera, they can still graduate with those. What about people who are trying to transfer into those currently?
Well, you know, if we are teaching out a program for a couple of years, then someone who is transferring in as a junior would still have the opportunity to have that program for a couple of years. And even after a major has gone away, we will continue to teach classes in those areas. It's just really maintaining the majors that became too expensive in a few cases. Okay,
and now that the retrenchment, the final plan has been released, where do we go from here?
So now we have to really go into strategic planning. And that, I think, is a really exciting change for us to begin looking at where do we need to be? How are we going to meet the needs of employers in the Rogue Valley and around the country? How are we going to meet the needs of students? We need to be thinking about what role technology plays, how much we do face-to-face, how much we do online. As I mentioned before, we need to be thinking about graduate programs as well as undergraduate programs. So there's a lot of really good thinking we need to be doing in coming months as we look forward to, again, the next 140 years for SOU.
Very good, Dr. Cullinan. Great to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.